Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Hope all of you are doing good. So today we are going to have a detailed discussion on the anatomy of the rectum, and we will discuss about the rectum in detail under following headings. First we will see the definition, the location, extent, measurements of the rectum, the flexures or curvatures of the rectum, the relations, both peritoneal and visceral relations, interior of the rectum, and the structures which support the rectum and keep it in the position, and lastly neurovascular supply of the rectum along with some important applied aspects. So let us begin with the introduction. What is rectum here? Rectum means straight. The literal meaning of rectum is recta is straight. It is straight in lower animals, but it is not so straight in the humans, so it is misnomer. It is the terminal part of the large gut, and you can say it is the pelvic part of the alimentary tract, the terminal part of the alimentary tract, and it do not show any features of the large intestine. Even though it is the terminal part of the large intestine, it do not show tinea coli, circulations or appendices epiploicae. These all are absent in the rectum. Then coming to location, it is located in the posterior part of the true pelvis, in front of the sacrum, that is lower three vertebrae of the sacrum, S3, S4, S5 and coccyx, and it extends from the rectosigmoid junction. It is a continuation of the sigmoid colon here. It begins here at the level of S3 vertebra. Then it ends at the anorectal junction. That is a junction between the anal canal and rectum. Anal canal is the distal part of the alimentary tract, and it corresponds to the area just below the coccyx. Then coming to the dimensions, the length is approximately around 12 centimeter, and the widest breadth of the rectum is 4 centimeter. And coming to the course, first it is directed downwards and backwards. You can see here. So rectum extends from the S3 vertebra to the anorectal junction. First it is directed downwards and backwards. Then it is directed downwards. Then downwards and forwards. So then downwards and forwards. So you can notice here the extent of the rectum is this one, and the course directed downwards and backwards, then downwards and forwards, where it will continue as the anal canal. You can see here that is the extent of the rectum. You are seeing the sagittal section, that is the left lateral view. You can see here S3 to 1 inch below the coccyx. And what is the course here? First it is directed downwards and backwards, then downwards and forwards. That is what you see. And coming to the flexures, what are the flexures? These are the curvatures. So there are two types of flexures, anteroposterior and lateral, and there are two anteroposterior flexures. One is sacral flexure, which runs along the curvature of the sacrum and coccyx, and another one is lower one, that is a perineal flexure. It begins at the anorectal angle in the terminal part of the rectum, and here the rectum pierces the pelvic diaphragm to continue as anal canal. When you see here, this is the extent we have seen. First one curvature, what you see here, this is the sacral curvature. Then this one is perineal curvature. So roughly a S-shaped curvature, what you see anteroposteriorly in the rectum, and you can see this is the above you are seeing this is the anteroposterior flexure, this is the perineal flexure or anal flexure, sacral flexure and perineal flexure. And coming to the lateral flexures, there are three flexures. Upper and lower are convex to the right. That is what you see when you view the rectum from the front in anatomical position. the upper and lower curvatures are convex towards right, whereas the middle one is convex towards left. So this is the extent and curvatures of the rectum. What you see, you can see these curvatures are nothing but the rudimentary sacculations present in the rectum. So these are the curvatures, and you can see the lateral flexures here. Upper and lower is convex to the right, the middle one is convex to the left. You can see now upper and lower. This is the middle curvature. This is how the rectum is positioned and having the curvatures, both anteroposterior and lateral curvatures. And you can see in this animation here, when you view the sagittal section of the pelvis, this is the right lateral view. What you are viewing here, you are seeing the rectum behind the bladder there. You can notice the extent it begins, and you can see the two curvatures there. So it begins here at the level of S3 and ends at anorectal junction, an inch below the tip of the coccyx. You can see the sacral curvature, then the perineal curvature, and here you are seeing the lateral curvatures. So this is what you see in the anatomical position. You can see how it is related to the sacrum and coccyx bone there. It lies in the posterior part of the true pelvis. And then coming to the peritoneal relations. For that, the rectum is divided into superior one third, middle one third, and inferior one third. In the superior one third portion, the rectum is covered by peritoneum on the anterior and lateral surfaces. The posterior surface is non-peritoneal. Whereas in the middle one third, it is covered by peritoneum only on the anterior surface, whereas the entire inferior one third is subperitoneal or devoid of peritoneum. That is what you see here. Yes, you can see here in the up, it is divided into three parts, that is upper one third, middle one third, and lower one third. In the upper one third, the peritoneum is covering on the anterior side and lateral side, whereas in the middle one third is covering only in the anterior part, whereas the entire lower one third is devoid of peritoneum. Coming to the visceral relations, the anterior relations differ in the male and female because of the urogenital organs. In the male, the upper two-third is related to the rectovesical pouch. This pouch, this is indicated by the arrow. You can see the rectovesical pouch containing the coils of intestine and sigmoid colon, whereas the lower one third, it is related to the base of the urinary bladder here and the prostate, and just near the base of the urinary bladder in the male you will see the pair of ductus deferens and seminal vesicle, the terminal parts of the ductus deferens. So these are the relations you see in the male anteriorly. You can notice there is a difference in the left and right side. On the right side you are seeing the relations in the male, on the left side you are seeing the relations in the female because of the uterus. So in the females, upper two-third, it is related to this rectovesical pouch of Douglas, which we have discussed in detail in the previous video regarding the uterus. Then in the lower one third, it is related to the vagina. So separated by the that is fascia of Denevaliers in the male. You will see rectovesical fascia of Denevaliers in the male in the lower one third, whereas in the females you will see the vagina, posterior wall of the vagina. So you can see here in this animation, you can see when you are viewing the sagittal section of the male pelvis, anteriorly what you see is the bladder. So here you will see rectovesical pouch, and in the lower part you will see rectovesical fascia of Danon-Villiers, and here you can notice the bladder along with these structures there, the pair of seminal vesicles that you see, that is ductus deferens. Then you can see the seminal vesicles and also the prostate, whereas in the females the part separating them is the deep one, that is rectouterine pouch of Douglas. Then in the lower one third related to the posterior wall of the vagina. So these are the differences in the visceral relations of the rectum in the anterior side. As you go to the posterior relations, you can see it has the neurovascular and osteomuscular relations behind. So it is related to the three bones, that is sacrum, coccyx and sacrococcygeal junction. Three muscles, piriformis, coccygeus and levator ani or iliococcygeus. Three vessels, median sacral, superior rectal and lateral sacral, and three sets of nerves, sympathetic trunk, pelvic splanchnic nerves and pudendal nerve S3, S5, S5. So you can remember the rule of 3 here. So 3 bones. So just try to understand and remember this rule of 3 to the posterior relations of the rectum, which are common to both males and females. So 3 bones, sacrum, coccyx and sacrococcygeal junction. 3 muscles, piriformis, coccygeus and iliococcygeal part of levator ani. 3 vessels, median sacral, superior rectal and lateral sacral, and 3 sets of nerves, sympathetic chain, pelvic splanchnic nerves and S3, S5, S5, and other 3 structures are lymph nodes, fat and ligament. So remember the rule of 3 to understand the posterior relations of the rectum. If you see here the posterior relations which are common to both males and females, you can see the rectum with its posterior relations here. You can see above, you can see the sacrum, the coccyx and sacrococcygeal junction there, and the 3 muscles, piriformis, coccygeus and iliococcygeal part of the levator ani. These are related posteriorly, and if you take out the rectum here, you will see the neurovascular structures there. Yes, here you can see in the median line, you will see the median sacral artery. It is the terminal branch of abdominal aorta. This is superior rectal artery, that is lateral sacral artery. So these 3 vessels you will see, and the nerves, that is the pelvic splanchnic nerves, and here you can see the sympathetic trunk and the pudendal nerve. So these are the structures related to the posterior surface of the rectum. And coming to the relations and position of the rectum in the pelvic specimen, you can see you are seeing the pelvic cavity from anterior side. There is the rectum within the true pelvis in the posterior part, and we are going to study the rectum in sagittal and coronal section. So when you see the rectum in coronal section, it is located here. That is the rectum, the terminal part of the alimentary tract, and this is the coronal section passing through the ileum, acetabulum and istiopubic rami. This is the bony orientation of this coronal section. So here you will see, here you are trying to see the rectum here. So that is the rectum there, and you can see the peritoneal reflection there, that is sigmoid colon. This is the rectum, with its dilatation, which we called as ampulla, and you can see on either side of the rectum you are seeing the levator ani, and again you are seeing the rectum from the pelvic cavity. And if you take a sagittal section, or you can say left parasagittal section, you can see there, you can see the pubic symphysis. This is the sacrum and coccyx. You can notice there the cut sections, and you can see the curvatures of the rectum here, sacral and perineal curvatures, antero-posterior. And you can also notice the peritoneal relations, the upper one third related to the anterior and sides, there's middle one third only in the anterior part, lower one third is devoid of the peritoneum. So you can see the peritoneal relations and the two curvatures. You can see how the peritoneum is reflecting there. You can notice the curvatures there and peritoneal relations anterior and lateral side, and that is the pelvic diaphragm formed by the levator ani muscle. So it will pass into the pelvic diaphragm at rectal junction. Below it will continue as the anal canal. You can see the outline of the anal canal, and you can notice the visceral relations also here. There is a anal opening, and you can see seminal vesicle, that is the prostate, along with the ductus deferens here, seminal vesicle, and base of the bladder. In the females you will see uterus between them, uterus, and you will see ectouterine pouch of Douglas, then posterior wall of the vagina. So these are some visceral relations posteriorly. And laterally the rectum is related to the pararectal fossa just above the levator ani. You can see the levator ani muscle here, and these are the pararectal fossa. So anterior, lateral and posterior relations, and you can notice the pelvic diaphragm, how it is forming a bowl shaped support to the urogenital organs, and structures in the anal triangle, a hammock like support. After seeing the external features in detail, including the curvatures, dimensions, and peritoneal and visceral relations, let us see the interior of the rectum. And in the interior of the rectum, we are going to see the mucosal folds, that is both longitudinal and transverse. And when you see the interior of the rectum, there will be longitudinal folds. They are present in the lower part of the rectum, and they are temporary and disappear during distension. Whereas the transverse folds are also visible, which are called as Houston's walls or plicae transversae recti. They are marked in rectal distension, and there are 3 to 4 transverse fold you will see in the interior of the rectum. The first one is superior fold at the beginning of the rectum. It projects from the right side or the left wall. It projects to the right, or it comes from the left side of the rectum. That is the first superior fold. You can see here the commencement of the first fold is at the level of the S3 vertebra, and it is around 12 centimeter from the anal orifice. And the middle fold, it is the largest one and most constant among the transverse fold. It comes at the junction between the upper two-third and lower one-third, and roughly 5 centimeter above the anal margin, also called as Knelton's sphincter. Also called as Knelton's sphincter. That is one reason to do per rectal examination in a left lateral position, because whenever you are passing the finger through the anal canal and rectum, it should not damage this prominent Knelton's sphincter. And the lower fold, which is variable, projects from the left wall 2.5 centimeter below the middle fold that you are seeing there, and sometimes the fourth fold, which may not be present always, inconsistent or variable. Middle fold just above the rectal ampulla, largest and most constant is the middle fold, also called as what? Knelton's sphincter. That's why the per rectal examination is done in the left lateral position of the patient. Inferior fold around an inch below the middle fold and projects from the left wall, and the fourth fold, which is occasional. So these are the folds which supports the weight of the feces. So rectum act as the fecal storage tube before the defecation. Coming to the supports of the rectum, how the rectum is kept in position in the true pelvis. First one is the levator ani muscle that we have seen. It is part of the pelvic diaphragm. Waldeyer's fascia, that is formed by the condensation of the connect tissue behind the rectum, and it extends from the lower part of the rectal ampulla to the sacrum. It contains some vessels and lymphatics. The lateral ligament, which is nothing but the condensation of the superior fascia of pelvic diaphragm. It contains the middle rectal vessels and nerves. Rectovesical pouch in males, it has the fascia, that is fascia of Denon-Villiers. Fascia of Denon-Villiers. And pelvic peritoneum, it is not the true support, but it is also there. And perineal body, because the levator ani, part of them surrounding the rectum and anal canal, they attach to perineal body and support the rectum and maintain the curvatures of the rectum, and prevents all these supports prevent the rectal prolapse. So you can see there all the supports. You can see this is the lateral ligament, what you see, this is the pelvic peritoneum covering that, and in the sagittal section you can see behind, you will see the Waldeyer's fascia, fascia of Denon-Villiers, which is prominent in males, then levator ani muscle. These all support the rectum. Coming to the blood supply of the rectum, so it is supplied by these arteries, that is superior rectal artery, which is the branch or continuation of the inferior mesenteric artery. You are seeing the posterior view here, posterior view of the rectum along with the abdominal aorta and inferior vena cava, and middle rectal artery. It is coming from the internal iliac. The inferior rectal artery, it is also the branch of the internal pudendal vessel. Then the median sacral artery, it comes from the posterior part of the abdominal aorta. It is the unpaired last branch of the abdominal aorta. And you can see superior rectal artery, it is a direct continuation of inferior mesenteric artery, enters the pelvis by passing through the sigmoid mesocolon, divides into right and left branches which pierce the layers of the rectum through muscle and mucous membrane, and anastomose with the other rectal arteries. You can see there the superior rectal artery is coming and dividing into right and left branches. And middle rectal artery, it is coming from the anterior region of the internal iliac, runs in the lateral ligament just above the pelvic diaphragm and supply the muscle coat of the rectum in the lower part. And last you will see inferior rectal artery, branch of internal pudendal artery. So what is internal pudendal artery? It is a branch of what? Where it will be seen? It is seen in ischioanal fossa in the pudendal canal. Please go and see the video on the ischioanal fossa. It anastomosis with the middle rectal artery at the anorectal junction. It predominantly supplies the anal canal. And then median sacral artery, direct branch from the dorsal surface of aorta near the termination, and it descends in the median plane, supplies the posterior part of the anorectal junction. So these are the arteries. And coming to the venous drainage, the rectum and anal canal are drained by the venous plexuses. You are seeing the perimuscular venous plexus there, and you will also see submucosal venous plexus here. So submucosal rectus venous plexus, it surrounds the rectum and communicates with the vesical venous plexus, which is present in the posterior ligament of the bladder in the males, uterovaginal plexus in the females, and that is the internal rectal venous plexus. It presents deep to the epithelium, drains into superior rectal vein. You can notice here it drains into superior rectal vein here, that is internal rectal plexus. You can see here it predominantly drains into superior rectal veins around by 5 to 6 tributaries. Superior rectal vein is formed, and then external rectal venous plexus, it lies outside the muscle coat. The upper part will drain into superior rectal vein, middle into middle rectal vein, inferior into inferior rectal vein. Coming to the lymphatic drainage, the upper portion drains into pararectal lymph nodes, whereas the lower half drains into the internal iliac group of lymph nodes or sacral group of lymph nodes. You can see there. Coming to nerve supply, sympathetic is by L1 and L2, parasympathetic is by the S2 to S4. Distension is sensed by the parasympathetic nerves, whereas pain is carried by both sympathetic and parasympathetic. The defecation reflex is controlled by the paracentral lobule present in the cortex. Coming to the applied aspects related to rectum, first one is that is a per rectal examination. They say any general examination in the surgery is incomplete without the per rectal examination. The surgeon will do the per rectal examination with the index finger. First the pulp of the index finger is kept on the opening of the anal canal, and slowly with the counseling to patient, it is gradually done in left lateral position. Why? Not to damage the Knelton's sphincter, the most constant transverse fold of the rectum. Rectal prolapse, you can see here, rectal prolapse is here. It is when the supports of the rectum gets damaged. Next is rectal polyp, which are also very common. They may be flat, attached to the surface or by the stalk. They may be suspended by a stalk. And rectal carcinoma, so it is also very common, and it spreads slowly because of the lymphatic drainage of the large intestine. So that is about the rectum in brief, and in the future sessions we will discuss about the anal canal along with the some points on the rectum. Thank you.